Penn State is back on the practice field for the first time since its Big Ten championship and run to the Rose Bowl. We bring in Tim Aiden from Black Shoe Diaries to break down the Nittany Lions' efforts on the practice field. Tim, we always appreciate the discussion, but before we get to a spring practice that just started on Wednesday, more work on the recruiting front. This Penn State class for 2018 is shaping up as a really good one, but it could get even better here with some official visits lined up for the next couple weekends.
Yes, you're right about that, Mark. A couple big fish for the 2018 class, kind of unexpectedly, are paying visits this weekend. I think they're already on campus as I was recording this on Friday afternoon. The two big fish I'm talking about are Aeneas Hawkins. He's a 4-star defensive tackle out of Cincinnati, Ohio's Archbishop Moeller High School. The other big fish is Houston Griffith, 4-star, top 50 player overall cornerback, according to 24/7 Sports. He's actually the son of Big Ten Network's analyst Howard Griffith, who was a former star himself at Illinois and later on went on to win a couple of Super Bowls with the Denver Broncos. As of right now, the crystal balls on 24/7 Sports appear to be pointing towards Ohio State mostly. Granted, the last crystal ball was about a month ago, so you never know if he has that visitors high, if James Franklin over shows him a great time, I'm sure you might see a few crystal balls going his way. Although if the fluid nature of recruiting, that may not last, but so something to keep an eye out on. Also a few actual a couple of commits from the 2018 class. Chris Blake, 3-star offensive tackle out of New Jersey, and Jesse Luketa, who I've covered before, 3-star linebacker out of Pennsylvania. And Sean Clifford, actually, he's going to be enrolling this summer. He's a 2017 signee. He's actually up there with a few other fellow class of 2017 signees as well. So kind of a small visitors weekend, but there's a couple of big fish thrown in, as I just mentioned, with Hawkins and Griffith. On the practice front, it's only a couple of days in, of course, but from what we've seen so far, on the defensive line, Shaka Toney, and Ellison Jordan, both redshirt freshmen, have been turning heads, and there are a couple names to keep an eye on as people vie for starting spots on the D line. Aaron Monroe, redshirt sophomore safety. There's an article on 24/7 saying the sky's the limit for him. And so he's a name to keep an eye on as far as who could replace Malik Golden, who at safety, who graduated this past season. Another note, captains were named over this week for 2017. So Trace McSorley, linebacker Jason Kabinda, and safety / former running back Nick Scott are your 2017 captains.
All right, getting back to Hawkins and Griffith, both have 34 offers at this point. Hawkins, a 25th rated defensive tackle in the nation out of Cincinnati, according to 24/7 Sports, the number 13 rated player out of Ohio. And Griffith, coming out of, as you mentioned, Tim, IMG Academy, as a top 10 player in the state of Florida, which speaks volumes. Number 7 cornerback is his rating according to 247. And Howard Griffith, just as a side note, once scored 7 touchdowns in a college football game at Illinois. So there's the deal at spring practice and recruiting. Don't know if you wanted to mention these guys getting a lot bigger and a lot stronger. We kind of talked about that before we came on.
I think first thing to note is Miles Sanders, who many of you may know as Saquon Barkley's backup last year as a true freshman. He's bulked up significantly. He's gone from 205 pounds last year to 224. And apparently his mother can barely recognize him at this point, according to James Franklin. So from his press conference the other day. And but I read a few articles which have been praising Dwight Galt, the the head strength and conditioning coach, and for the job that he's done over his last few years here on the staff. So now, as of right now, they have 14 players that can bench 400 pounds, and they have 5 players currently that run the 40-yard dash in the 4.3s. I mean, you were able to guess, well, at least one of them, Saquon Barkley. The other 4 are DeAndre Tompkins, wide receiver, who some of you, if you've watched Penn State enough last year, you may recognize his name. He spelled for Saeed Blacknall, who actually Blacknall's also the other guy who ran a 4.3, other receiver ran a 4.3. And then a couple cornerbacks, Grant Haley, who probably you all know by now is that guy who returned the blocked field goal against Ohio State for a touchdown, which sparked Penn State's rise back to national recognition. And Jabari Butler, he's a cornerback. He's a transfer from Abilene Christian, the FCS. So he won't be playing this year, but might be a guy to keep an eye on the depth chart in the next couple of years. Some probably for special teams or even to spell someone in the. Also, apparently Dwight Galt has a list. He has 3 different tiers for, I guess, as far as eliteness is concerned for strength conditioning, and so tier 1 is the lowest tier, then tier 2, tier 3. So as of right now, he's got 29 players in tier 1, 53 in tier 2, and 19 in tier 3. I guess just to compare, last year he had only 9 players in tier 3. So really, I guess the too long didn't read version of this is the players are getting faster and stronger thanks to Dwight Galt.
And hopefully, Tim, most of those stronger players are along the offensive front because that's where it could be needed as well. And now it's easy for me to say this, but I wish I would have had you quiz me on the 5. I think I could have nailed 4 of those. I think I would have gone to Tompkins and Blacknall and Grant Haley possibly. I think I could have gotten 4 out of the 5. Butler would have been a complete reach. I don't think I would have gotten him. Pretty unfamiliar with the name. But the other 4 out of 5, I think I could have gotten that. But yeah, Penn State, wow. If you look at the increase in strength and speed, that is not good news for the Big Ten Eastern Division, because that's pretty impressive considering a team that finished in the top 5 of the nation. And if they're getting that much more of a ceiling out of these kids and maximizing their athletic ability to that extent, that is pretty serious business. All right, Tim Aiden from Black Shoe Diaries breaking down Penn State's efforts on the recruiting trail and its spring practice as well. Tim, we always appreciate the breakdown.
Yeah, thanks for having me.